What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken, and today, guys, we are going to count down and talk about my top 10 Blu-ray releases of 2022. That's right, we've given 4K some love, we've given Steelbooks some love, and today we're going to talk about Blu-rays. I get this a lot in the comments section. Ken, do you buy Blu-rays anymore? You don't ever talk about Blu-ray. You don't talk about Blu-rays enough. I only have a Blu-ray player. I don't have a 4K player. So you know what? I got you guys. Look, I've been hearing you guys, and I got you guys. We're going to talk about Blu-ray releases. This is not just a 4K channel. We talk about all things physical media. Now, I did not watch enough new DVD releases to do a top 10 DVD, but I respect DVD. I still buy for DVD when I go to a Goodwill. If I found something interesting that doesn't yet have a Blu-ray release, I will pick it up. So I still try to support. I support all physical media. I love physical media. I still have VHS tapes for crying out loud. I've got a couple of laser discs as well. I support all physical media. So let's talk about Blu-rays. But before we get into it, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We talk about physical media. Like I said, all things physical media here on this channel. So if you like that kind of stuff, definitely consider hitting the subscribe button. Also, be sure to drop me a comment down below. What were some of your favorite Blu-ray releases of 2022? And then turn on those bell notifications for all future videos. But let's get into it. Let's start with my honorable mentions. And yeah, this was a good year. This is a good year for Blu-rays. I get excited for a lot of Blu-rays that are released. So let's cover some honorable mentions real quick. And I got to talk about Vinegar Syndrome's Drop Dead Fred. Now, admittedly, and this is probably why this is not in my top 10, I have not yet watched this. I have not yet watched this release, but I got so excited. Now, Severin was supposed to put this out, I think, in 2021, and then they lost the rights to it, and then Vinegar Syndrome showed up to save the day and put this movie out on Blu-ray, but they gave it this nice slipcover. Look at that slipcover. It's freaking awesome. And then look on the artwork on the back. I don't know if this is one of those movies that I grew up with. I remember watching this all the time when I was a kid. I don't know if it's actually a good movie. I'm sure I would watch it now and be like, what the hell was I thinking when I was a kid? But when I heard it was announced, I said, I remember that movie. I have to get it. And yeah, I still haven't watched it. I don't know why, but this is an awesome release with a great slipcover. You got Drop Dead Fred there on the side. And then, you got that classic art. We got Phoebe Cates in this movie. It's got to be, I need to watch, maybe I'll watch this tonight. I really need to watch this. But yeah, this was a really cool Blu-ray release that Vinegar Syndrome did at the beginning of the year. And then next up, I got to give some love to Liar Liar. This is in my top 5 favorite comedies of all time. It's definitely my favorite Jim Carrey movie. I love this movie. I talked about how much I love this movie when I reviewed it earlier this year. But this is the Shout Select version that they put out. They actually added a couple of new special features in this one, but the transfer, this Blu-ray scan was excellent. This looked phenomenal on Blu-ray. Of course, I would want a 4K of this movie. I want a 4K of all my favorite movies of all time, but this looked phenomenal. Honestly, I'm good with this Blu-ray. I went ahead and sold the old Blu-ray that I had, but this is the way to own this. This Shout Select Blu-ray definitely looks better than that old Blu-ray. And yeah, you get some new features as well, but absolutely love Liar Liar. Who doesn't love Liar Liar? This movie was huge when it came out. Love that release by Shout Factory. I also got to talk about another Scream Factory, Shout Factory release, Cursed. And you guys are probably going to think, oh, Ken, you're crazy. Cursed, that movie sucks. It's not the greatest movie, but I actually had a good time with it when I watched it. Now, I'd seen it a long time ago, back when it first came out, back in 2005. It's a Wes Craven film. And I don't remember liking it at all back then, but when I watched it now with a fresh pair of eyes, I just appreciate it. It's got Jesse Eisenberg in it, a very young Jesse Eisenberg, Christina Ricci, and it's a fun werewolf movie if you take it for what it is. Now, the CGI is horrible. It's laughable, but the stuff around it is actually pretty good, and I enjoyed this rewatch this movie. I'm pretty sure it's a 4K scan on this. Yes, a new 4K scan. It looks phenomenal. Like, it looked absolutely phenomenal. So this is a great release by Scream Factory. And Scream Factory this year didn't do very many Blu-ray releases at all. They were focused completely, it seemed like, on new 4K upgrades and new 4K. So this was one of the few Blu-rays that they did, one of the few Blu-ray collector's editions that they did this year. And I thought that this one turned out pretty good. So I actually enjoyed Curse, but not enough to make my top 10, but a good honorable mention, I think. Now let's go ahead and get into my top 10. My number 10 is an Alfred Hitchcock movie, and this one came out in January. This is Stage Fright. And this is a Warner Archive release. And this movie really shocked me. I wasn't expecting too much with it. It is a Hitchcock movie, but I hadn't heard too much about it. Everybody talks about his other movies like Notorious and North by Northwest and Rear Window and Vertigo and all this stuff. Nobody ever talks about Stage Fright, and I think that they should, because this movie is really great. Like, it's a really compelling mystery. It's got some swerves in it, and it's got something that happens at the end that just sends chills down your spine. But I absolutely love this movie. When I watched it, I just felt like I had nobody to talk to about it. A couple of people also bought it and reviewed it, so we kind of talked together. But it was just one of those movies that when I was done watching, I was like, nobody's seen this movie. I can't really talk about how great this movie is, but I absolutely recommend that you add this to your collection. It shouldn't be too much. It's probably like $14.99. Every now and then on Amazon, they'll run sales for Warner Archive, and they'll be like $12.50. So I'm pretty sure this has popped up for $12.50 a couple times this year. But this is a great release. Now, it is Warner Archive. Usually they're bare bones. Don't have too many special features or audio commentaries or anything like that. But there is a making of documentary, Hitchcock and Stage Fright. So it actually does have a little documentary in here. But yeah, I thought this was great. I think this is well worth owning and adding to your collection. So Stage Fright is a super underrated Alfred Hitchcock movie, in my opinion. I'll say this. I got the Hitchcock Volume 2 box set, all the 4Ks in there. I think I like this movie more than all of the movies in the Alfred Hitchcock Volume 2 box set. That's how much I love this movie when I watched it this year. So Stage Fright is excellent. That's my number 10. And getting into my next pick, my number 9 is actually a pretty cool Arrow release that came out over the summer, and this is Hell High. So I really enjoyed this movie. It's kind of like a teen high school slasher type movie, but it unfolds in ways that you don't expect, and it's kind of unconventional for the genre. Like, this came out in 1989, so the slasher craze was kind of dying down. And it's different. Like, it's not your typical slasher type movie. There's different aspects about this film. It's very unique in what it does. But I enjoyed this one quite a bit, and it's got some great special features. They got a ton of new interviews with the cast and crew, and it looked fantastic. The Blu-ray transfer looked fantastic, so can't say enough good things about Hell High. I think this was one of Arrow Video's best releases. Best Blu-ray releases of 2022 for sure, hands down. So that's my number 9. Getting into my number 8 is another Arrow Video release, and this is Edge of Sanity with Anthony Perkins. So this is like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, Jack the Ripper kind of like hybrid movie. But Anthony Perkins, I thought, just gave a great performance in this. I was really just impressed. And again, like, it should have been, no surprise. It's Anthony Perkins. He was in Psycho. It's one of the greatest like horror performances of all time, one of the greatest horror roles. Anthony Perkins is Norman Bates. So I shouldn't have been surprised, but I hadn't really seen him in a lot of stuff outside of the Psycho franchise. But he was really great, just kind of really chilling, really scary in this movie in parts, but also had, some weight, some dramatic weight to his performance and the things that he has to do in this movie as well. And I think he carried all of that and balanced it all very well. But just a really cool movie, really cool aesthetic to it, just a really cool vibe. And yeah, I like this one quite a bit. Edge of Sanity. It's also got a ton of new special features as well. So Arrow Video really did a great job on this one. And it looks fantastic. Like I said, it has a great like setting and style to it. It's got a lot of colors and like purples and reds, and it just all looks fantastic. But a really cool movie, really cool release from Arrow Video. That's my number 8. Number 7, I'm going with the heart a little bit. I got to talk about Earth Girls Are Easy. So I was very excited when this one got announced by Vestron Video. This is such a fun movie. And this is another one I remember watching all the time when I was a kid. My sister loved the movie, so we always watched it. And I will say I was a little bit skeptical. I was like, okay, I liked it when I was a kid, kind of like a Drop Dead Fred situation. Am I going to like it as an adult? And I actually really did enjoy this movie still. I mean, it's got a great cast. You got Jeff Goldblum, Damon Wayans, Gina Davis, Jim Carrey in this movie, like at the beginning of his career. I think this is around the same time he was doing In Living Color. But he's still great. He's firing on all cylinders. Like, the physical comedy that he brings to the movie is awesome. Jeff Goldblum's kind of like the lead character in this movie with Gina Davis, and he's great as well. The cast is very fun. The movie's very fun. It's got kind of like a music video style to it, like they break out in song like a couple of times, which I absolutely didn't remember. And it's got some special features in it as well, a couple of new special features. So Vestron just does a great job with these releases, and they're putting out boutique quality level releases for affordable prices. This was only like 12 bucks when it came out on Blu-ray. So Earth Girl, and the artwork is freaking fantastic as well. But Earth Girls are easy. I would absolutely recommend that you pick up. Again, it's not too much. You know, it's not going to cost you too much. And I thought the Blu-ray actually looked excellent. This had never got a Blu-ray before. It had only been on DVD, and this is the first time I got a Blu-ray, and it looked fantastic on Blu-ray. So that's my number 7. Getting into my number 6, again, going with the heart a little bit. This is one that, look, I would understand, like, if you're like, why would you move that up so high? I was just so excited because it's really a bare bones release. It's just a basic Blu-ray bare bones release, but the movie had never got a Blu-ray before, at least domestically. And I was just very excited when this movie was announced. It was, again, another favorite from my childhood. I love this movie. I think it still holds up. It's still hilarious. And we got to talk about Coneheads. Got a Blu-ray release this year. I've been talking about Coneheads on the channel ever since it got announced. Like, I was so excited for this one. Did a review for this as well. And I just love Coneheads so much. You got Dan Aykroyd. Chris Farley's in this movie. It's that classic, like, 90s SNL era type comedy, and I just love that stuff. I eat it up because I watched SNL when I was a kid. Like, that's the kind of comedy that really speaks to me, and I just love comedy so much. Like, other than horror, you know, growing up, like, I loved horror movies, but I love comedies, and that's the kind of movies that I would watch all the time. Would be comedy and horror, and some action movies as well. But I watch Coneheads like nonstop. Love it. So you got David Spade in this movie. Michael McKean's in this movie. Jane Curtin is freaking hilarious. I think Jane Curtin's super underrated in this movie. Like, she's just as hilarious as Dan Aykroyd in the film. And it's just so much fun. I love Coneheads. Who doesn't love Coneheads? Let me know. If you haven't seen Coneheads, I really recommend that you buy this Blu-ray. I think it's like 12, 13 bucks. So not much of an investment. But like I said, it's a bare bones Blu-ray release. I would have loved you know, a movie like this to get like a big Arrow video box set or a Shout Select release with tons of new special features or something, or even Vinegar Syndrome do Coneheads. But I don't know what the right situation is. Again, Paramount owns this, so Paramount put this out because Paramount cares about their back catalog, you know, their catalog movies, their catalog releases. They care about going back in the vault and restoring the movies that, you know, maybe some wouldn't think to do. And that's why I respect Paramount, you know, and they put out Coneheads. So you gotta give Paramount some credit. You gotta give them a lot of credit. That's my number 6. Now let's go ahead and get into my top 5. And coming in at my number 5, look, I only watched one of these movies. I actually watched it, I think, on Christmas Eve. But you got to give Vestron Video some credit for releasing the Silent Night, Deadly Night 3 through 5 collection. There is 3 movies in this set. Now, are they good? Probably not. The one I watched definitely wasn't. Definitely not great movies. The Silent Night, Deadly Night franchise as a whole isn't great, but this is 3 movies, and there's definitely a fan base for these films. A lot of people got excited for this. Like, people that usually don't pick up these Vestron releases, I noticed were picking up this release because it was such a deal. Like, they put this out at $11.99. Like, are you kidding me? Like, Vestron Lionsgate is just doing the Lord's work with physical media, putting out boutique level quality. Like, if Scream Factory released this, it would have been like $50 to $60. But Lionsgate and Vestron Video, they care about the consumer, and they put this out for $11.99. There is 3 movies in this set, all individual discs, and the transfer on the one that I watched looked fantastic, and there's a bunch of new special features in here as well. And I don't know if this is the first time that these were put out on Blu-ray or not. I feel like it might have been, but again, correct me in the comment section below if I'm wrong on that. They might have only had DVDs before, but look, you got to give them some credit. And the artwork on this is freaking fantastic. Now, I will not watch 4 and 5 probably until December next year, but I'll probably do like a Silent Night, Deadly Night marathon or something like that so I can get all these watched. But I did watch the 3rd one, and look, it's not bad. Well, it kind of is bad, but I enjoyed what I watched of it. Now, coming in at number 4, guys, and this one right here, I got to put an asterisk next to because this actually had a previous release. I think it had a steelbook release like maybe a couple of years ago. But this is the first time that I got it and watched it. And this is a re-release from Synapse. And this is The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue. So this Blu-ray release, a standalone Blu-ray, came out this year, but it did have a steelbook a couple of years ago. But this was a really great zombie, like undead movie. Like, I'd never really heard of this movie before, and I thought it was fantastic. But the thing about this one is they did such a great job. And Synapse really has quality. Like, when you buy a Synapse release, like, you know you're going to get quality, whether it's Blu-ray or 4K. Like, all their transfers just look great. They look fantastic. And this, I'm going to be honest, like, I've seen 4Ks that don't look as good as this. And this is a Blu-ray release. Now, it is a 4K scan, but my God, Synapse did such a great job of the restoration of this. Like, there's some really gory sequences where the zombies are like just ripping guts out, and all that stuff looked fantastic. It looked like it had HDR, like the colors were just so vibrant and beautiful. So this was like, damn, this was like 4K quality. Like, if you would have told me this was a 4K and I popped it in and watched it, but it was actually a Blu-ray, I wouldn't have known any different, because it really looked like a 4K when I watched it. But this was an awesome release by Synapse, and I really enjoyed the movie. So The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue, I would absolutely recommend, and that is my number 4 on my Blu-ray list. Now let's get into my top 3, and this is the best of the best right here. Like, I really love these movies. Coming in at number 3, we're going to talk about Arrow Video again, Shock. This is a Mario Bava movie, and this is actually his last film, and this also has Dario Nicolodi in it, who's in a ton of Dario Argento movies, and I just really love her as an actress. She recently passed away, so RIP to her, but yeah, I think that this movie was really awesome. Like, it's very eerie, it's very creepy. There's a scene towards the end. I watched this back in I almost watched this like a year ago now, so I can't remember like everything about it, but I just remember really getting into this movie. Such a creepy atmosphere to it, and there's a scene at the end that I remember, like, it made me jump. It was so jarring to watch. But just a really creepy movie, just a really good movie, and I was really pleased with this film. And again, this is another Blu-ray that almost looked 4K. Like, this looked excellent. This transfer was awesome. And again, one of the first releases that came out last year in 2022, but it also has some new interviews. I'm pretty sure it has like a new audio commentary in it as well. It's a 2K restoration. Yes, it does have new audio commentary, and it's got a bunch of new interviews and stuff, so they really loaded this one up with special features. But Shock from Arrow Video, I would recommend, especially if you like those. I wouldn't exactly call this a giallo film, because it doesn't have, it's more supernatural, so it doesn't really play into a lot of the giallo tropes that some of the other, giallos you would know and love, like Tenebrae of Deep Red. It's not really like that. More supernatural, but it definitely plays in that genre some, and definitely brings in some of the elements of those type of movies. But it is an Italian horror film, so there is subtitles and all that kind of stuff. So just want you to know that going in. But a really great movie. I love Italian horror. Like, I just love Italian cinema in general at this point. And Shock is a really great one from Arrow Video. So that's my number 3. Now let's we talked about Jim Carrey a lot on this list, I'm realizing now. And we're getting ready to talk about another one. This is Kino Lorber's Man on the Moon. So this was released back in February, and I had never seen this movie before. I've seen almost every Jim Carrey movie, but this is a big one that I had never seen. And Kino Lorber announced this, and I got very excited, because I was like, I've never seen that movie, and I'm absolutely going to pick that up. I love the slipcover. Again, it's just the poster of the movie, but it's an awesome looking slipcover. So this is a biopic on Andy Kaufman, the comedian from the 70s. And again, never seen this movie before, but absolutely loved this film so much. Like, this is, when I watched this, like, I love The Truman Show. Like, that's my favorite Jim Carrey, I guess what you would say, drama movie. But when I watched this, I was like, damn, this might be Jim Carrey's masterpiece. This might be his best performance. I still love Liar Liar more. That's still my favorite Jim Carrey movie. This might be Jim Carrey's best performance. I don't know why. I don't remember if he was nominated for this or not, but he should have won an Oscar for this movie. Directed by Milos Forman, who also did, Amadeus, but just great direction. You also have Courtney Love in this movie. I actually thought she was really great in the film as well. And Danny DeVito also was freaking awesome. But this is another one I feel like I watched it like 11 months ago now. But I really loved it. And this is another one that it was the first time that this movie got a Blu-ray release. And Kino Lorber did such a great job on it. This is a 2K scan, and it looks incredible. But this is such a good movie. I don't know why I went my whole life without seeing it. Something about it. I just remember growing up, I was like, I was just so tied to the idea of Jim Carrey just only being a comedic actor, that when this came out, I was like, I don't really have any interest in seeing that. My goodness, I was sleeping on this one for so long. It's such a great movie. Absolutely love this film. Man on the Moon with Jim Carrey, I would absolutely recommend. And I don't think that this one is too much. I think it's only like $14, $15 on Amazon right now. But maybe wait for the Kino Lorber sale, because you could probably get this one for like $10, $10 or $11 when they have the Kino Lorber sale. So, Okay, let's get into my number one Blu-ray release of 2022. And this one actually came out in February as well. So it's been a while since I've seen this. But we got to talk about Miller's Crossing from the Criterion Collection. And again, I don't think we talked about Criterion once in this video, but Criterion always does a great job with their Blu-rays. Their transfers are always excellent. Tons of great new special features. And that's no different here. Like, this is jam-packed with incredible special features. Interviews with Gabriel Byrne. So they have some great special features in this, and I thought it looked fantastic. But this is a Coen Brothers film. And again, I had never seen this movie before. I love Fargo. I love No Country for Old Men. I love Blood Simple is another one of my favorite Coen films. But this definitely jumped up towards the top of my favorite Coen Brothers movies when I watched this. I was so blown away by this film. And another one that I hadn't even really heard of before Criterion announced this one to put out. I feel like I'd heard some recommendations about it, some rumblings about it, never really, gave it the time of day. But when Criterion announced this, I was like, this is the perfect excuse to watch this movie. Absolutely loved it. It's a gangster movie. It's a 1920s era prohibition movie. And it's just such a character-driven film. But the thing that I loved about this movie the most, and the thing that the Coen Brothers is just so good at, is just the characters, just writing characters, writing dialogue, and all the interactions within this movie. It has such a kind of comedic value to it, but also dramatic at the same time. And you had that nice, good mix in this film. And I just thought it was phenomenal. So really great movie and really great release by the Criterion Collection. And again, Criterion is just top notch when it comes to their releases. They did so many new special features, and I thought this one looked fantastic. So this is the one of all the ones that I watched this year as far as movies on Blu-ray that blew me away the most. So there you have it, guys. That is my top 10 Blu-ray releases of 2022. There you go. I gave the Blu-ray a little bit of love. So please, in that comment section below, let me know what some of your favorite Blu-ray releases were of 2022. I'd definitely love to hear about it. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like this video, turn on the bell notifications, and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.